What's going on, everybody? This is Al from PlaybookGamer.com, and today I am going to review the Minnesota Golden Gophers playbook in NCAA Football 06. And the way I like to do this is I'm going to look at coaching strategy. We're going to look at the styles and tendencies of the offense. We're going to look at the playbook, the formation, the personnel, the characteristics of those formations. Then you got the plays. I'm going to show you my favorites along with how they may fit this particular scheme. And in the end, we're going to look at the pros and cons, what I like and don't like about the offense, along with an overall rating of either 1 to 5 stars, somewhere in between there. But more importantly, I hope this video provides you with some new ideas for a future offense in a future dynasty. Yes, in NCAA Football 06, you can create your own playbooks. You can select whatever 9 formations you want, but maybe this combination of formations may give you the idea you need to create something new down the road, or use this one in its entirety. Now, before we get into the playbook, I want to talk about the website and some information that may be of use to you. I should have a link in the top right. I should have a link in the description below. It goes to the main site, and if you select on playbooks, it should give you a nice laundry list of various things that could be useful in terms of play images and offensive formation lists. Now let's talk about the playbook itself. We need to talk about what the playbook is all about, and this particular playbook is a balanced playbook. In other words, it's pretty much a pro style playbook. Think under center, play action, run game, and the like. Now, Minnesota loved to run the ball. As you can see here, they ran the ball at least 2/3 of the time. So keep that in mind as you look at these formations and plays. So here's the playbook itself. On the right, we got formations, under center, personnel. This is just a nice summary of what you see on the left in terms of the playbook itself. So the formations, there's 5 ace, 3 I formations, 1 shotgun, which means there is a lot more under center formations than there are in the gun. That's not a good thing. That's not a bad thing. It can go either way, just depending on how you handle your offense. Now, in terms of personnel, it's pretty diverse playbook in terms of that. We got 5 different personnel groupings, 3 11 personnel sets. That's 1 running back, 1 tight end. Then you got 2 12 personnel formations, 2 21s, 1 22, which is a much bigger set. And then you have just 1 10 personnel set, which is a 4 wide formation. Now let's talk about the plays within each formation. We're going to start off with ace normal, and I want to show you the run plays that I like first that may fit this scheme. We're going to start off with ace slam. It would probably be my go-to run concept throughout this offense. It's very basic. You can go up the gut, outside of the tackles. It's very handy and very simple, and it's very quick. Then I would probably complement that with halfback dive if you really want to go between the A gaps. Halfback tackle isn't bad either. It's a little bit slow, but when the blocking's there, it can be pretty effective. And then you have halfback option and speed option. Yes, this is generally a pro-style offense, but if you got a quarterback that can run a little bit, you can go full extension with these and run simple option stuff. But as everybody knows me, whenever I run a pro-style offense, especially from under center, I love to use halfback option as a toss play because, as we know, the normal halfback toss plays in this game don't work very well at all. So you can add those 2 to your run game. I would also sprinkle in a little draw. Draw from under center isn't too bad. Now let's talk about some of the pass plays. PA roulette is pretty good. I like PA counter isn't bad either. You got an extra blocker, which you're going to need, but it's good to attack vertically. Safety attack and tight end streaks, those are staples of my power shoot offense. Very nasty plays with enough motion. PA strike is kind of slow, but when it does work, it works really well, especially with this tight end on the wheel. Then this formation has 2 trick plays. Wide receiver reverse and halfback pass. They're okay. They're very hit and miss, though, so don't expect too much. Last but not least, I'd probably talk about tight end crosses. It's okay. You can hit the deep ball pretty well with it. I would only use it if I was just so loaded down with tight ends that I felt like I had no choice but to use this, and if I just wanted to attack vertically in general, although it's not the greatest against zone. Next up, we have ace twins. This is not as good as a formation as ace normal, at least in my opinion, but it has halfback slam. Counter option is your speed option, if I'm not mistaken. Then you got halfback dive. Halfback option is your basic power option. That would be my halfback toss for this particular offense. And you got another trick play in the wide receiver reverse. And the rest of these runs, I would just stay away from. Halfback toss and halfback read. Counter trap, it's very hit and miss. You don't really need them. Now we can talk about the pass plays. Tight end wheel is not too bad. With enough motion, you can make it work. PA rollout isn't too bad either, although I wish this route right here would be a simple go. That's a simple hot route. You can make that work. Tight end drag isn't bad with enough motion. Cross in is okay. Basic curl flap, but the play could be better. PA tight end crosses, I definitely want to talk about this. I don't use this formation a whole lot, but this play would be quite useful for me. I would use it quite a bit, only because this crossing route by the tight end is very strong against man, because his defender will probably get caught up amongst these other routes going the opposite direction. You will see the CPU run this a ton if they have this formation. The rest of the pass plays are just okay, but I'm not super excited about them. Next up, we have a slot. Now we're starting to spread things out a little bit with an 11 personnel set. And halfback sting is very similar to slam, so you can use either one. Then you got your two option plays, option strong, which again would be our toss play. Option weak would be speed option. Just got to be careful going to the outside, not using too much of the speed button. Then, of course, you got halfback dive and you got draw. In terms of your pass plays, curl flats would be a go-to of mine. Deep outs is one of the better third and long plays in the game, and just does a really good job of attacking deep in general. PA rollout, any PA rollout you see is usually my favorite play action concept, just because it's so quick, and a lefty or right-handed quarterback can use it without no problems. Quick slants, I love this play. It's great as a West Coast concept. Get the flare out against man. You got a simple hitch against zone. You got a little center beater with the slant from the tight end. All of it's really good. The last thing I want to talk about with this formation is QB screen. It's another trick play, but if you motion this slant over to the right, he could be decent against zone. It takes some massaging to make this play work, but it's not too bad. Next up, we got ace wide trips. This could be considered the sister formation to ace slot. Another 11 personnel set. As usual with our run game, we got halfback dive, halfback sting, draws okay, option strong, and option weak. There is no halfback slam, so you got to replace that with halfback sting. But now let's talk about the pass plays, which ones I like. PAD post is okay. It's a little slow, but man, if you have the blocking, you can really do some damage. Cross in is very simple off the left hash as is. I love this shallow route by the tight end. Curl flat, this may be the best curl flat play in the game just because it's going to out route on the other side. All of these routes work really well together. Tight end corner, a good little right hash play. I like the little whip route, which can attack pretty much anything. And then you got flanker post, one of the better, deeper drop back plays. This is an ideal third and long play in this offense. Flanker quick screen. This is an interesting play. Now, most screens from under center I would avoid just because you don't have enough time to make the throw. But this one isn't too bad. You just got to be super quick. The only other pass play I want to talk about is technically this wide receiver reverse pass. It is a complete mess. I would avoid it, but I wanted to bring it up nonetheless. Next up, we have ace bunch. This formation I am using currently in my Duke Dynasty. It is okay. It is not one of my favorites. But in terms of your run game, halfback dive, halfback slam, and weak toss and halfback draw would be my go-tos. Now, weak toss, you notice there is no pulling lineman. This play works halfway decent. You just got to be careful and hope there's some decent blocking there. But I wouldn't avoid it altogether. Wide receiver toss, this is, I guess, a trick play. Not really, but it doesn't work all that well. I wish it would, but the CPU does a good job of being triggered once that receiver gets the ball. But I wanted to point it out anyways. Now let's talk about the pass plays. The ones I really like are corner flats, pretty good. Double ouch drag, I'm liking it a whole lot. It could be better on a couple things, but this little out route, if you're on the right hash, you can attack anything with it. Vertical is okay. I think you can motion this post route over to the far right, and you can have a better zone beater there. Fade delay is probably my favorite pass play in this formation. It's a very good West Coast concept. You got a simple go route. You got a center beater. You got a man beater. You got a zone beater. You can hit pretty much anything with that play. The rest of these, safety divide, it would be better if this shallow route was a little bit more shallow, I should say. It looks shallow, but it really isn't. Smash read is very simple. It's very similar to the curl flat we just looked at from Ace Wide Trips. And backside post isn't too bad if you was going to just pretty much attack deep, although I really wouldn't recommend it for like a 3rd and long. Next up, we have I-form normal. This is as popular as a formation as you can get, especially if you're going to run any type of pro-style offense. The vast majority of people will have this formation in their playbook. Start off with your run game. Halfback ISO, this is pretty much your dive. Then you got slam. Then you have halfback tackle. This is the only other halfback tackle play in the game outside of one from Ace Normal. Then you got fullback dive if you got a decent fullback there. Then you got your option plays. Now, this formation's got a ton of option because it's got a little bit of everything. If you want to be a pure heavy option, you can do that. Or if you want to be pure pro style, you can do the same thing. But if we're going to run a basic pro style offense that features the run game, of course, power option would be our go-to as a normal toss play. And the other ones I probably would not use. Although if you're going to run heavy triple option, yes, then that's what you would use. Both triple option and encounter. Now, in terms of the pass plays, it's got some interesting things in here. PA fullback flat. This is our Spider 2, Y Banana, John Gruden, West Coast type concept. Although he ain't going to get the full credit for that. But you got your flat route, which is great against man, and then cover zone 3 and 4. And you got some decent cover 0 beaters to go with it. Although it's play action, you got to take a chance with it. PA boot, this is much quicker. I like it pretty well. And then you got tight end drag. I wish this whip route was a little bit shorter. Otherwise, it could be a decent West Coast play. Curls, it's your simple curl flat, although it's a little bit limited, but it has its uses. Wide receiver post is a good combination of plays if you really want to attack deep from the drop back from this formation. You got a couple of trick plays, more or less. I don't know. I mean, option pass, I guess you consider that a trick play. I've always struggled with it. It's not my favorite, but for this particular offense, I probably wouldn't use it, but I wanted to bring it up. Then you got halfback toss pass. This is one of my least favorite trick plays. I would essentially avoid it. I've really struggled to make it work. And last but not least, halfback or just basic angle. This is probably the best deep ball pass play in this formation. A good corner route that can attack cover 1 or cover 0 man. Then you got the post route that can attack cover 0, you can attack any zone, more or less. You then got a nice little center beater with your halfback on the angle route. Next up, we have I formation twins. This is the sister formation to I formation normal. In terms of your run game, you got halfback slam. I would go fullback dive, halfback ISO, halfback. I think that's probably it in terms of your basic runs with the halfback. But you look at power option. That's your basic toss for me for this particular scheme. Speed option is in here. I mean, it's useful if you got the quarterback to kind of do it. The rest of these, not so much. Yes, you got a couple of triple option plays, but for this scheme, I doubt you'll ever use them. Then we can look at the pass plays. Oh, one other thing before we get to the pass plays. You got slot reverse. Not bad against man, but the blocking has to be there, so just keep that in mind. Now let's talk about the pass plays. PA boot is really good, especially this go route against cover 0 man or cover 2 zone. The next ones we have, PA screen is another interesting play action play. It's very similar. You got a go route against cover 2 zone or cover 0 man, but this cross route is pretty nasty as well. But if against zone, if you can't see a cover 2 there, you can just dump it off to your halfback and he can get some decent yardage with it. PA smash is kind of interesting. You may want to, if you're a right-handed quarterback, you may want to flip this play and have it going to the right side, but it's got some decent stuff. Then you got vertical, one of the very few 2-wide formation plays that you can attack deep with from a drop back standpoint. Next up, we got I formation tight. This is not one of my favorites. I'm normally not a huge fan of these 22 personnel sets, although half of my playbook in my Duke Dynasty is 22 personnel. But this one is okay. It's got some decent stuff. Halfback ISO, halfback slam, fullback blast, fullback dive, halfback lead, which is similar to slam. Those would be my go-to run plays. Now, you notice there is no halfback option. That's a big detriment to this one. It's got plenty of triple. It's got triple option reverse, counter, and basic triple option, but I would love to replace one of those with basic power option, but it's not in there. Neither is speed option. So in terms of going to the outside and attacking, it can get a little tough. You pretty much have to use slam, maybe lead to make that work. The rest of the run plays I would probably avoid. Now you look at your pass plays. You got your PA fullback flat. We looked at this from I formation normal. Very similar concept. Same with PA boot. Tight end corners. You remember that ace wide trips play we looked at earlier with that whip rat on the short side? That's pretty useful. Tight end flats is okay. At least you got a cover zero beater, a simple flat, and a curl, although the curls can get risky to throw to. PA rollout is interesting, especially if it goes cover zero. You can hit that fullback on the deep ball, which is pretty nice. And then you got tight end crosses. Everybody who's watched me play by Duke Dynasty, I like the weak normal version, or the weak tight version, I should say. But this one isn't bad as well. These two crossing routes by the tight ends are pretty potent. Last but not least, we have shotgun normal. This is the one gun formation in this playbook, and this is one of my favorite formations in the game, just in terms of the variety of pass plays you have. As you can tell, there's only 4 run plays in this formation, so for this particular playbook, I wouldn't be running the ball hardly at all from this formation, although you can. You got speed option if you need it, and halfback off tackle is just okay. But then you got PA read. This is probably the best run play in the formation, although it's actually just a pass play. But in terms of your pass plays in general, this is the best play action play of the bunch, and PA read, you can do a lot of great things with it. You go up to the very top and tight end delay. I've been using this a ton lately. You can do this, use it in various ways. All curls is okay. You're going to need some hot routes to kind of make it work a little bit better. Halfback corner. You can't go wrong with a go route on one side and a backside post on the other. This is a good combination to attack deep. Halfback angle, one of the best West Coast concepts in the game. Any angle route over the middle is great. You backside out route is good to go with it. You got a little zone beater with the hitch and a simple go route for cover zero. One of my favorite plays in the game in general. The halfback screen is okay. I mean, this you use that to really just sprinkle it in from time to time, especially if you got a halfback that can really do some good things. Tight end cross, one of the better third and long plays in the game, or if you just want to attack deep in general. This is my main third and long play in my current dynasty. Go route, post, that's a great combination on the same side. Then you got the crossing route, it's good against man or cover 3 zone. Then you got a dig route, just a nasty play in general. Seam attack, if you're not a fan of the Hail Mary plays, you can use this, although I wish one of these routes was something a little bit different. Maybe this slot route could be a dig or an out, but you can use hot routes to make that work. Wide receiver short post with enough massaging, you can actually turn this into a nice air raid concept like Y stick. Then you got arrows. This arrow route is completely different than a slant route. You can really do some damage with this play, although you need to move a couple guys around to make it work. And halfback streak, I've used this in the past. This is one of the few plays in the game where you got to go post with a tight end being involved as your post, which doesn't happen too often unless you use sub packages. To wrap things up, let's talk about the pros and cons. First, the pros. This playbook has 6 really good formations. I like them a lot. This also is a very simple scheme. It's meant to be under center and you run the ball with your halfbacks. There's not a whole lot to it. It's also one of the easier schemes to go with. Speaking of easy, the running game is very simple. Slam, dive, and my version of the toss play. You don't need a whole lot of fancy stuff to make it work. And you got a lot of formations to make it diverse enough to where it could be confusing to the defense. Also, there are several third and long pass plays in this playbook that I like. I'm a big proponent of having at least 2 to 3. In this game, or this playbook has at least 3 from what I remember. Let's look at the negatives, the cons. So we got 3 just okay formations. Ace bunch, I formation tight, and there was another one, I don't remember what it was. Ace twins, that was it. They're just okay. If I was going to use this playbook and switch a couple things up, I would probably replace those 3 formations with something else. And the only other real negative was there's only one 10 personnel formation. Now, you do not need 4 wide sets to be successful in this game, but the only one that's in this playbook is just okay, an ace bunch. I would replace it with something else. Also, 4 wide sets, you could run the ball really well from those formations, and since this is a run-heavy pro-style attack, an extra 10 personnel set to run from could be useful. Having said all that, I'm going to give this playbook a 4-star rating. This is very similar to what I ran years ago in one of my older Duke dynasties where I won the national title in that first season with a very bad team. It's a very simple offense. There's not a whole lot to it. Simple may be boring to some, but it's kind of set up ready for you to go. Now, there's not a whole lot of shotgun formations, but you don't need a ton of gun formations to make it work. As you've all seen me run West Coast offenses in the past, I don't need shotgun formations to win championships. But overall, it's a very good playbook, and I think you should check it out. All right, guys, hopefully this was helpful, and I'll talk to you later.